Cool. All right, so thanks for coming. We're going to record a practice together, a little bit shorter than the full kind of typical about an hour that we spend together. So you can fit this into your day any way that you can. So lie onto your back. And the pose we begin in very often is constructive rest. So you want your feet to be a little bit wider than your hips and your knees to either drop and touch each other or kind of just hanging parallel over your hips. Your hands can fall wherever. I like to kind of rest them on my belly. And take a few moments to really notice the small of your back and feel it flat down toward your mat. So if there's any kind of arch in your low back, gently tuck your tailbone. Your back should flatten and any strain across your low back should be able to kind of disappear. And begin to pay attention to your breathing and the different ways that you could notice or be curious about your breath. Begin to deepen your breath. So more depth, more fullness and completeness, and even more space, right, in the emptiness in between. One of your next inhales, take a full body stretch. So you'll reach your legs and arms away from each other. Yeah, circle your ankles, pull on your wrists. All right, your breath is really interesting. Also, is this experience for your body as you pull and stretch. And then bring both knees back in towards your chest. And we'll take a couple circles with our knees. We'll make circles with our knees. So holding your knees, just rotate them around in one direction to massage your low back. Little lubrication in your hips. Okay, other direction. And then a happy baby pose. So same idea of keeping your back flat, lift your head and shoulders, reach for the outsides of your feet, and then lay your head and shoulders back down. And you want to pull your feet down toward the floor as you kick your feet into your hands. So maybe even a little rocking motion, pull one knee down, get that inner hip stretch. Right back super flat. And then let go of your feet. Interlace your fingers in front of your right knee and extend your left leg away. Circle your right ankle a few times. And while you're here, flex your left foot. So that means push your left heel away and point your left toes toward your face, both directions. for your right ankle, maybe a little extra pull toward your right shoulder. And then interlace your fingers behind your right leg with your foot up toward the ceiling. And lift your head and shoulders, lift up and see if you can reach a little more toward your right ankle. And then lay your head and shoulders back down. Okay, close your eyes. Steady mind often begins with a steady gaze. So if you ever need some help kind of settling your mind, focus on one thing or close your eyes. And then lift up a little bit higher toward your right foot. Come back down, a little more stretch. And then release your right foot up toward the ceiling, right leg up. And then slowly lower your right leg down to meet your left. And do your best to keep your back flat. So keep pushing the way through your both heels, really both heels. Ooh. And stretch it out. Okay. And bring your left knee in toward your chest. Flex your right foot. And circle your left ankle. Yoga breath is Ujjayi. Breath through your nose. Circle your ankle the other way. Bring your left knee toward your left shoulder. And then extend your left foot up toward the ceiling and release your hands behind your leg. And with a slight bend in both knees really, but the more you're pushing both heels away, you'll stretch more. Turn on that kind of comfort sound machine for yourself with your breath, a slight constriction at the back of your throat. And lift up a little higher, see if we can get a little bit more. Relax your shoulders so there's not strain there. And then slowly release, left foot up toward the ceiling. And with control, lower your left leg to meet your right leg. And then full body stretch, hugging, whatever feels best to you. And then let's rock and roll along your spine a couple times. So really try to curve your spine, tuck your chin. And then come on up to sit. Extend your legs straight out ahead of you. And let's keep coming for those hamstrings. Now we got them a little warm. Get the muscle from your sit bones and then reach your arms up. Make sure you do this part first. And then hinge forward and lower your chest, your elbows, even your forehead toward the floor. Right, same tools apply if you want more stretch in the back of your legs, more extreme sensation. Point your feet towards your face, flex your feet. And then if you want less, relax your feet. You could also bend your knees to take a little bit of strain if you felt any out there. And then come on up, sit tall. Bring your feet around behind you. Excuse me, and find your hands and knees. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. Feel some stretch between them. And then we'll do a few rounds of cow and cat. So you breathe in for cow, drop your belly, lift your chin, look up. And then exhale, come up into cat pose by tucking your chin, arching your back up toward the ceiling, and then pushing down into your mat through your hands and your shins. And then a couple rounds of that. Inhale, drop your belly, look up. And exhale, back up. Tuck your chin and push down. Come to a flat back. I'm going to turn just for the angle to face you. And I don't know how Zoom does this with mirroring, so I don't know if I am or not. Extend your right leg out away from you. And you want your right toes to line up with your left knee. So if it looks confusing, just listen. Right toes line up with your left knee. And you'll lift up through your upper body. Got your right leg extended out. And then slide your right arm down your right leg. Reach your left arm up over your head. You can bend your left arm at your elbow, take your hand behind your head, and then with that lever a little bit shorter, see if you can take your left shoulder back even more, your left hip back, and then go long again, release your left arm out. Now, steady, we're gonna slowly bring your left hand down to the mat, right under your left shoulder, reach your right arm up toward the ceiling. Lift your right leg. You can always skip this if you prefer to keep it down. See if there's a little bit of challenge you can invite to make it easier. Look down toward the ground, and to make it harder, look up. A few more breaths. You might even reach for your right ankle, your right foot, a little behind. Okay, and then everybody extend. If you haven't lifted your right leg, maybe try it for one breath. And then come back to a tabletop. So both hands down, slide that right leg back in, and set up the other side. This is called gate pose, where you're going to come out now onto your right knee, left leg extended, with your toes facing forward and lined up with the front of your right knee. Now slide your left arm down your left leg, reach your right arm up. Oh yeah, that little trick can work, right? Bend your arm so your hand comes behind your head, and then maybe a little more. And then bring your right hand down underneath your right shoulder, a little bit of softness, and then lift your left leg up, or keep it extended. Keep it extended, or go for a bind. Right, where do you want to look? I guess it was there a little later last time. Some variation, lengthening, lifting, looking down, or looking up, or somewhere in between. All right, and then everybody lift the pinky toe side of your left foot up to the ceiling on an inhale. And then exhale back to a tabletop, hands down. Feet in under your hips, and then you do a couple cow cats to reset. Next, take a child's pose, knees wide, big toes touch, and reach forward. Take a moment while you're down here in this little kind of reflection to yourself with your eyes closed. Right, your focus on you if you want some intention. Right, you want to bring out a wish, a prayer, some kind of good vibes during your practice. And then make your way back to a tabletop. And from here, we'll take downward facing dog. So take your hands a little further forward and wider. So tabletop, we're kind of right under. Get your hands just a little more forward when you come to down dog. And then those backs of the legs, we're really warming them up. Push down through the center of your heels, maybe one at a time for that pedaling motion. If you want to push down through both heels at the same time, so without that pedaling, bring a slight bend to your knees, push down through the center of both heels. Push down through your fingerprints and roll your shoulders away from your ear. And then lift your heels up as high as you can. Come onto your tiptoes, inhale. And exhale, press your heels back down. Press your chest toward your thighs. Exhale it out. Inhale, lift your heels, lift your hips. Exhale, press them down. Inhale, lift your heels, lift your hips. Exhale, heels down, heels down. Inhale, heels high. Tiptoe forward, little tiny steps to the top of your mat, standing forward fold. Excuse me, grab opposite elbow for a ragdoll variation. So you're holding the outside of the opposite arm. You can even weave your hand between your bicep and your forearm on the other side. And gently release your arms. Bring your feet closer to each other until your big toes touch. And then slowly come up to stand in extended mountain. And reach your arms out and up. And grab onto one wrist, either wrist, doesn't matter. Pull up and over to the other side. And then back to center. And switch. Push down into whatever foot you're reaching away from. And then back to center. Reach up and bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Chair pose. Bring your big toes to touch, a little bit of space between your heels, and sit your hips back, reach up. And bring your hands to prayer. And see if you can sit even lower. Close your eyes. Push your hands together. And then bring your knees so they're just like about an inch apart. And squeeze like you're trying to hold something soft, a little bubble you don't want to break. Try to lift your 10 toes up off the mat, spread them out, breathe. And forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. And plant your hands, step to high plank. Drop your knees, lower down, come to cobra. Or up dog if you're ready for it. Back to downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees. Exhale, look forward, step to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, inhale. Hold it, exhale. Stay for your inhale. Forward fold as you exhale. Halfway lift, breathe in. Chaturanga, exhale, cobra, or up dog, float your thighs. to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg. Step your right foot forward to warrior one. So right foot faces straight ahead, turn your left foot 45 degrees. And as you stand up in your upper body, square your hips and your chest as much forward as you can. And then reach your arms up along your ears. Fix my hair real quick. So you want that same neutral spine that we started with when your back was flat on the mat in the beginning. Obviously, we're not flat on the floor here, but rather than any pinching in your low back, tuck your tailbone. Warrior two, exhale. So right foot is going to slide to the middle of your mat facing straight ahead, and then line up your right heel with the arch of your left foot and look out over your right middle finger. Spread your fingers and make some circles in your wrists, with your wrist. And then turn your right palm up. Reach forward like someone's going to hand you something in the front of your mat, and then reverse your warrior. Slide your left arm down your left leg. Reach your right arm up and back. Yeah, and keep the bend in your right knee. To extended side angle. So take your right arm down toward your right knee. Reach your left arm up toward the sky. Really try to tuck your right hip under your body and then lean your left side back. If you look down, remember it's easier. If you look up, harder. Stay for one more inhale. And then you're going to go to side plank on the left side. So we warmed up in that supported side plank. You can always come back to dropping your left knee or keep your legs staggered or stacked, right? Or lift your right leg, different option. And then both hands down, chaturanga, cobra, or up dog. To downward facing dog. Lift your left leg and step to warrior one. And you can always adjust your stance. As square forward as you can go, shoulders over hips. Fingers over your shoulders, but that softness, right, from your earlobes through the ends of your shoulders. To warrior two. Line up your left foot to go straight forward. You should be able to see your left big toe if you look down. And then you'll tuck your thumbs into your palms on this side, wrap your fingers around, and make those wrist circles here. And turn your left palm up. Reach forward and then up and back. Long line from your left side. Strengthen your legs as you externally rotate. Remember, you could see your left big toe. And extended side angle. Left arm is resting. Not too much of a weight, just there more for support. Tuck your left hip under your body. And bring your right hand down, side plank, right side. Find your variation. Soften your right elbow. So rather than locked out, right, get a little bit of softness and then lift up. Squeeze your glutes. And chaturanga. Exhale to down dog. Great job. From here, go ahead and come on down to sit. And then have a seat so that your feet are on the mat and your hands will come to the front of your knees, feet forward, knees up. And sit tall. So I really want you to focus on bringing your chest up and forward, lifting up from the base of your spine. And then pull your shoulders back a little, bend in your elbows. It's going to help really drive those upper arm bones back. And then stretch your neck. Whole neck. I don't even want to say circles. So close your eyes and whatever movement, wherever stillness feels good, just stretch your neck. And then begin to release that. Lie onto your back. Hug your knees in. Cross your right leg over your left leg. So you're crossing it, your knees lift up. And then reach for the outside of the opposite shin that's in front of you now. So your right leg is in front. Reaching for that ankle with your left hand. And then right hand is catching the left ankle, right? And then the more you pull gently your feet towards you, towards your outsides of you, and push your tailbone down. You feel that one, right? Outside your hips, through your glutes. And then switch other way. You can drive it deeper one side or the other based on how you steer your hips, where you're holding, right? Very interesting. And then release. Set both feet down on your mat. We're going to set up for bridge pose. So this time, instead of having space, so much space between your hips and heels, scoot your hips and heels as close as you can to each other. And maybe you can even touch the back of your heels with your fingertips. And then lift up. Lift your head, not your head, your hips, your chest. Press your head down, right? If you can, and release your fingers underneath you. And one more inhale. And then exhale, slowly lower, right? Upper, middle, low back, like you're trying to like lay a baby down, right? In the blanket. And then a little side to side, back your knees. And then another one, bridge pose. Well, scoot first, heels and hips. If you want the variation, you could do hold your heels or hold your ankles if you'd like. Maybe I'll try that one. A little extra quad stretch there. So wherever you are, ground down through your feet, whatever's touching the mat, your head, your arms. Hug in and lift up. And then slowly lower. Intentionally down. Rock your knees. You can hug them in if it feels okay. And then hands behind your thighs, rock and roll a couple times forward and back. Bring the soles of your feet together, scoot your hips back. And this is called cobbler's pose. So a little back stretch here for your gentle hip stretch. You'll take your head toward the bottoms of your feet, top of your head. Again, plenty of space. It's like a big diamond shape from your hips to your heels. Echo of your Ujjayi breath, or however interesting your breath has gotten. You anchor it back to the moment, back to intention, back to your breath and your body. And then slowly come in, out of the pose, lie onto your back. And then this time, extend your left leg with hug your right knee in, and we're gonna cross your right knee to the left, spinal twist. Your arms can either go out wide at your sides, you can goalpost, right, bend at your elbows. You can even use your left hand to help ground your right knee or a little massage for your hip. And slowly release. And set up the other side. And then when you're done with that side, go ahead and release and find your Shavasana, your final resting pose. And traditionally, Shavasana, right, if you're new, is long with your arms wide. But maybe get right, just curious about how you want your Shavasana for a little bit. You would prefer, like as we did focusing on our breath earlier, but so if you would prefer, you could do constructive rest where we started, lay on your side and move to your couch. Let's kind of adjust, let go of any fidget, see what silence we can settle into. Just one more minute. Really intentional. What are you thinking about? What are you saying to yourself, right? To the universe? And in your next few breaths, begin to breathe a little deeper. Find some small movements or any movements that call to you. And eventually making your way to a seated position. And sit with your eyes closed or soft if you prefer them open. Really tall in your spine and heavy through your shoulders. And bring your hands to prayer and gratitude. Thank you from me. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. And raise your thumb knuckles between your eyebrows. Together we bow. Namaste. Thank you. See you next time.